or Nakul or Priya. We could find names. We could also find things like M, F, which kind of make us understand that they could represent male and female. So you find numbers like 98.26, 95.27, which might mean something. It could either mean average marks, or perhaps they could mean some kind of a rank or a percentile or something. And then you find some numbers like 2, 3, 2, and so on. So now all these are data, and we'll use this as an example to try and understand the various types of data as well as various categories of data. So from this we can understand that data need not only be numbers but even names could represent data, even symbols could represent data. For example, M and F could represent male and female, which are symbols or notations to represent data, whereas we have names like Meghna or Nakul and so on. So this is some piece of data picked up. And then we now bring all these data into a table. Now we kind of sort and categorize this data. So we are able to do this. We are able to, for example, say that there are 5 names, so these names are being written. And we could, for example, associate a male female with the names, which is also written. And then we look at this set of numbers, which are like 27, 25, 26. And then we bunch the set of numbers, which are 95.27, 96.15, and so on. And then we look at 5, 2, 3, 0, 1. I mean, if you look at it very, very carefully, all these 25 pieces of data may not be there in the previous picture, but one could say that this type of a table can always be drawn from the source from which the data on the previous picture had been taken. Now we have classified this data. We'll look at this a little more, and then we can give some generic headings as name for the first column, which has Meghna, Nakul, Priya, and so on. Obviously, the second one could be the gender, and that could represent male and female, corresponding to the names that are there. Now, one look at the third column, one can think of many, many things that the third column could represent, and perhaps the third column could represent the age of this person. So it could represent the age of this person, assuming that these are students from a class, let's say an MBA class or whatever. So this could kind of represent the age of them. The fourth one could represent a score. For example, they could represent a percentile score in an entrance exam based on which they were admitted. And the fifth could possibly represent a work experience and so on, even though something like 12 for a person age of 22 is inconsistent. So they just represent some pieces of data which are there. So broadly, one could categorize this. So the data that we have are now put in a data table with each column having a heading, and the data fits into this heading, such as name, gender, age, score, and experience. So we also need units for some of them. So age could be years, and experience could be years, while the others may not have an explicit unit in which it is measured. Score could be measured as percentile, and the 12-month is an outlier. So I'm just explaining that data could have outliers, and we need to collect and compile data carefully. So one should also be able to understand outliers of data, which is shown by this. Now once we make a table like this, the columns are called variables, such as name, gender, age, score, and experience. And the rows are called cases or observations. It's a general terminology that is being used. The columns are called variables, the rows are called cases. Now, what type of data are these? For example, if you look at this, one can understand that columns 1 and 2 represent data that are not numbers, whereas columns 3, 4, and 5 represent data that are numbers. Sometimes it's also customary to represent, in this case we have M and F representing the gender. At times we could use a different notation like a 1 and 0 and so on. But columns 1 and 2 generally do not have numbers representing the data, whereas 3, 4, and 5 have numbers representing the data. So how do we classify? Types of data. First classification is called categorical data and numerical data. So if we go back to the first one, the table, the first two are categorical and the next three are numerical. So
So basically, according to him, he's saying that types of data, one is on the basis of categorical, and second one is on the basis of numerical. So I had already mentioned you that quantitative and qualitative. So categorically means qualitative and quantitative means numerically. Okay, one and the same thing. Any doubt till to here? If anybody is having any doubt till to here about understanding the data, how the data is going to be arranged depending upon the categories. Okay,
categorical data are responses that belong to groups or categories. They could sometimes be a yes no type of a thing. They could be something like a strongly agree to strongly disagree and so on. Numerical data uses a numerical value as a response. So it could be a discrete number or it could be a continuous number. Example, number of students in a class, height of people in a locality, and so on. So first classification is categorical data and numerical data. Another classification is qualitative data and quantitative data. So when you say qualitative data, there is no measurable meaning to the difference of numbers. For example, number in the shirt of a sports person. You could find one cricketer wearing a number 12 and another cricketer wearing a number 82. They actually don't mean much at all, they just describe something. You cannot while it helps in distinguishing, say that if I see the number 12, I know this is a sports person, and I see the number 82, I see another person. But there is no way to say that the person wearing an 82 is a senior player compared to the person wearing number 12. Qualitative data are further divided into two types, which are called nominal data and ordinal data. We also have quantitative data, where we can give some meaning to the difference. For example, somebody scored 80 marks and the other has scored 60 marks. And in instances, one can say that this person has scored more than the other. And in some other instance, one could say he scored twice the mark compared to the other. So within the quantitative, we have interval and ratio. Within the qualitative, we have nominal and ordinal. So there are four broad classifications of types of data: nominal data, ordinal data, interval data, and ratio data. So categorical, nominal, no implied order; ordinal, order or rank; numerical data classified to interval, where we can add and subtract; and ratio, where we can also multiply and divide in addition to add and subtract. Name is a nominal type of data, no implied order. Gender is nominal, so in this case we say either male or female. Qualitative data. Ratio, age is a ratio, so one could say that this person is twice as old as the other, so it's a ratio type of data. The percentile in the qualifying examination is an ordinal type of data. There is an order or a rank. One can say that somebody who got 98.26 had a higher rank than somebody who got a 97.44. At the same time, we cannot say that this person has scored say 1 mark more. Can't say that because these are percentiles and these only represent a rank of the mark score. So one cannot go back and say that the person who got 96.15 got 1 mark more than the person who got 95.27. But what it represents is this person who got 96.15 is in the top 96.15% of those who wrote the exam, whereas the one who got 95.27 is within the top 95.27 of those who wrote the exam. So it is ordinal. The work experience can be an interval data. One can go back and say that the person who has 3 years work experience has 1 more year work experience than the person who has 2. But it is not very fair to conclude that this person has 1.5 times more work experience. So we now see all the, so we did nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. So we find examples of all the 4 types of data in this. So given a certain description of data, it's very, very important for us to understand what category it is. Most of the times I've observed that it's just that bit difficult to distinguish between interval and ratio. Ordinal is reasonably alright because you only find a rank. Nominal is easy, relatively easy to kind of identify. Whereas it's often difficult to distinguish between interval and ratio. So one needs to just understand this point very carefully, that in interval, we say add and subtract makes sense, ratio, all 4 makes sense. So the example where we said interval is, while we say that the person with 3 years work experience has 1 more year than the person with 2, it's difficult to say that the person has 1.5 times the experience average. Therefore, we categorize them as interval. So it is important to, given the type of data, to quickly understand what type of these 4 it fits into. And that comes by constant practice and also by understanding the context in which the data has been picked or the data is going to be used. For example, if we could give marks for work experience instead of using years, again one could only look at it as an interval type of a data. So this is another example. So this could be some kind of a classwork for you. The following data was collected from 100 managers, the salary, range of salary in the sense, say 10,000, 20,000, 20,000 to 50,000. Car model that they have, the year of graduation, years of experience, highest degree, number of companies that they have worked, what kind of a computer they have, which brand, number of countries they have visited, if they are married, number of children that they have, and what is their favorite sport. So now you realize that there are 10 different types of data, and you could try and classify these into the 4 types that we saw: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. And we also can give some numerical units for giving it data. For example, one could go back experience as years. One could also go back and try to look at what kind of data. Remember in the last lecture we gave examples of data. So similarly, if you look at context like an MBA admission or a dental clinic or a savings bank or an automobile dealer or a purchase department at a factory, school, supermarket, database of cricketers, IIT Madras faculty profile or faculty profile of any educational institution, a museum. So here we would first, we can collect about 10 to 20 types of data in this and then classify them into nominal, ordinal, interval. So with this we come to the end of the second lecture, which is on data. And in this lecture we saw different types of data.
Okay, now we had seen the different types of data. We had gone through the detail that these are the different types of data and how we going to categorize the different types of data based upon the situation. So Till to now, we had completed the introduction about the statistical methods, and how many types of data. Again, I'm sharing one PPT to you to describe you in a very clear way. Just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Mm, just wait a minute. Okay. Yes, the slides are visible to all of you. Yes, slides are visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. On the last turn, we had completed to the some queries or quiz related to the introduction of the statistics. I'm just repeating it once again. The quiz contains some questions, so you have to just give the answers. A simple table contains data on two characteristics, several characteristics, one characteristic, three characteristics. A simple table contains data on two characteristics, several characteristics, one characteristic, three characteristics. It's a multiple choice question. If you are asking about the table, when you draw some simple table contains the data, so the data is described in a table based on how many types of characteristics. Simple table, two characteristics, several characteristics, one characteristics, or three characteristics. What is the appropriate answer? Yes, anybody? What is the answer for this? Here we are talking about the simple table. If the table is somewhat complicated or lengthier, then the lengthier table is almost containing more than two variables or two variables, but a simple table is always containing single variable. So simple table contains data on one characteristics. The C is the right answer. Okay. Second, when the collected data is grouped with reference to time, we have, अगर हमने किसी डेटा को ग्रुप किया है, कलेक्टेड डेटा को ग्रुप किया है ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ टाइम और रेफरेंस और ग्रुप विद रेफरेंस टू टाइम, तो उसे हम कौन सा डेटा कहेंगे? क्वांटिटेटिव डेटा कहेंगे, क्वालिटेटिव डेटा कहेंगे, या ज्योग्राफिकल कहेंगे, या क्रोनोलॉजिकल कहेंगे? क्रोनोलॉजिकल मीन्स in accordance to reference of time. So answer D is the right answer. Okay. Now this is question number 3. Geographical classification means classification of data according to region. Is it true or false? Yes. According to region, if you are doing the classification, that is called geographical classification. True. An arrangement of data in rows and column is known as tabulation. Yes. Whenever we just asked to draw the table, we draw the columns and rows. So an arrangement of data in rows and columns is known as tabulation. This statement is true. Data on yield is quantitative variable. As the name itself defines that quantitative. Quantitative means something which is going to be in a quantity, a liter, a kg. तो डेटा ऑन यील्ड, अगर मैं क्रॉप की प्रोडक्शन की बात करूं तो कितने हेक्टेयर में कितना क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन होना चाहिए, दिस मेट्रिक टन, दिस अमाउंट ऑफ kgs. So the yield is a quantitative variable. It is true. Okay. Now qualitative variables are also called attributes. As if you had attended the last class, in that class I had already mentioned that qualitative variables in future can be called as attributes. So it is a true statement. Now these 4 questions are basically the questions which you have the answer in your notebooks. Define primary and secondary data. Give the advantages of tabulation. Write a detailed note on the types of classification. What are the essential characteristics of good table? Okay. After that, these are the representation of data. After completing the data, what are the various types of data? And now the most important thing or most important topic is to represent the data. How you are going to represent the data? So data can be broadly represented by 2 methods. One is diagrammatic representation of data, and its further subcategories are bar diagrams and pie charts. And the second representation method is graphical representation, in which histogram represent the graph, frequency polygon, again it is a graphical representation, frequency curve or ogive, they are graphical representation. So these are the methods to represent the data in the form of diagrams or in the form of graphs. Diagrammatic representation of data uses and limitations, simple multiple component and percentage bar diagrams. These are the methods. Second is the pie chart. So if I am going to describe the diagram, what do you mean by the word diagram? Diagrams are various geometrical shapes such as bars, circles, etc. Diagrams are based on scale but are not confined to points or lines. they are more attractive and easier to understand than graph. Obviously, the data which is represented by the means of bar or circles, it is more attractive and it is more easier to understand than the graph, because when you are just going to do the analysis through the graph, so you need to study the graph, you need to get the conclusion that in how much scales we had divided so many and so many quantities, and after that, observing the quantities, you are going to conclude out from the graph. So in comparative to graph, bars and circles, that is bar diagrams and pie charts, are more easier to understand because they directly give the information in an exact manner, and they leave a last impression in your memory, to just memorize it. Okay, so they are attractive and easier. Merits: most of the people are attracted by the diagrams. Technical knowledge or education is not necessary. Time and efforts required are less. Diagrams show the data in proper perspective. Diagram leave a lasting impression. Language is not a barrier. Widely used tool. What are the demerits of diagram or limitations of diagram? Diagrams are approximations. Exactly, the details are not exact, they are approximates, but near about. Minute difference in values cannot be represented properly in the diagrams. That is, slight differences cannot be represented by properly in the diagrams. Large difference in values spoil the look of the diagram. Some of the diagrams can be drawn by experts only. Example, pie chart. Pie chart is basically not drawn by normal people. Basically, these pie charts can be done by the experts or statistical experts only. Different scale portray different pictures to layman. Now, types of diagrams. The important diagrams are simple bar diagram, multiple bar diagram, component bar diagram, परसेंटेज बार डायग्राम. देखो बार डायग्राम कितने टाइप्स के हैं? 4 टाइप्स के हैं. एक तो सिंपल बार डायग्राम हो गया, एंड द सेकंड वन इज द मल्टीपल बार डायग्राम हो गया, थर्ड वन इज द कंपोनेंट बार डायग्राम, एंड फोर्थ वन इज द परसेंटेज बार डायग्राम. नाउ द फिफ्थ इज द पाई चार्ट, सिक्स्थ इज द पिक्टोग्राम, seventh is the statistical maps or cartograms. So these are the diagramic representations, not the graphical representation. In all the diagrams and graphs, the groups or classes are represented on x-axis and the volumes or frequencies are represented in the y-axis. So always keep in mind that in all the diagrams and graphs, the groups or classes are represented on x-axis. Groups and classes. If we are talking about the students, if we are talking about the age, if we are talking about the gender, if we are talking about the sex, so we are just classify the groups or classes on the x-axis, and their volumes of frequencies are represented on y-axis. Okay. Now graphic presentation. We are going to start with graphic presentation. The pie chart, bar graph, statistical map, histogram, statics in practice, the frequency polygon, time series charts, distortion in graph. It is important to choose appropriate graph to make statistical information coherent. It is depending upon you that which type of graphical representation you want to go to represent your data. Okay. So choose according to your choice, which is more appropriate to make it very clear, very descriptive, very much understanding. Okay. So the pie chart. First, we are going to start with the pie chart. The race and ethnicity of the elderly. Pie chart, a graph showing the difference in frequencies or percentage among categories of nominal or an ordinal variable or data. The categories are displayed as segments of circle whose pieces added up to 100% of the total frequencies. What actually he's saying that pie chart is nothing. Pie chart is basically dividing the nominal ordinary data in the categories displayed as segments of circle. We are going to break up the circle into different segments, and the segments are break up in accordance with the data available. And while adding all the segments, it comes up to 100% of the total frequency. Keep in mind, okay? So the pie chart representation, for example, as you see that there is an annual estimates of US population having age 65 years and over. एक मुझे एनुअल एस्टिमेट करना पॉपुलेशन का हैविंग द एज 65 years and over in the US, and the population is based on the racism कि काले कितने हैं, गोरे कितने हैं, अमेरिकन इंडियंस कितने हैं, एशियन कितने हैं, पैसिफिक आइलैंडर्स कितने हैं, एंड रिमेनिंग ऑल दैट कितने हैं. तो 87.7% are the whites, as you see in this, the lavender color, which is in the majority. 87.7% contains the white people of US, which are having the age 65 and more than 65. Blacks are having the population of 8.3%, which is showing through the maroon color. 0.5% are the American Indian. 2.8% is the Asian. 0.8% is the Pacific Islanders, and 0.6% are the others. Okay. So in this way, on the basis of racism, the age, the people who are having the age 65 and more are representing through the graph or through the pie chart. So this is the pie chart method for representing the data. Okay. Yes, anybody having doubt? Now again, we had just taken the same example, and we have clubbed the categories into three basic categories: white, black, and others, and two or more. Instead of the smaller categories can be clubbed into a bigger category and representing through the yellow color, which is approximate near about to 4%, and rest is the same, that is 87.7% is white people, 8.3% is the black people, and all other subcategories combinedly give 4%. Bar graph. The bar graph, the living arrangements and the labor force participations of the elderly. Bar graph, a graph showing the difference in frequency or percentage among the categories of a nominal or an ordinal variable, that is data. The categories are displayed as rectangles of equal width with their height proportional to the frequency or percentage of the category. So representing the data in the form of bar, what we are going to take, we are showing the difference in frequency or percentage among the categories of the different data. Now the categories are displayed as the rectangles. He is saying that bar graph is nothing. It is a rectangular form of diagram which are having the equal width, and the height is going to be vary out according to the frequency or percentage of the category. Okay. So again, it is the second method of presentation, and as far as you are seeing through the example, that we had divided three categories of the male candidates for the age of 65 and older. Those who are having the age 65 and more than 65 who are living alone. First category is who are living alone. Second category is who are living marriedly. And the other one who are not living alone or not married. Okay. So the widths are same for the bar graph, and the height is depending upon the frequency or the number of data. If I'm talking about the living alone, so in between 10 to 20% of people living alone, males. If I'm talking about the males who are living married mans having age 65 and more than that, so percentage of that people is above 70, and the category between these two are others, and it is approximate near about 10%. Okay. Similarly, if I'm talking about both males and females combinedly for the same category, that is the living alone, married, and others. So in the same graph, we can show the males and females simultaneously by different shades and different colors. We can represent the data through the bar diagram. In this way also, you can represent in a horizontal way also instead of vertical way. Okay. The statistical map. Again, this is one of the most important type of representation for the data, that is statistical map. You had seen so many times the geographic distribution of the elderly. We can display dramatic geographical changes in American society by using a statistical maps. Maps are especially useful for describing geographical variations in variables such as population distribution, voting pattern, crime rates, or labor force participation. Now, for example, see what is the statistical map or geographical distribution of this. Suppose you take a map of any country or any continent, and on the basis of that map, the map is in front of you, and if you want to categorize the categories to relocate that and to identify and to want to divide or distribute. So according to the United States, these are the countries having some color codes or some having some shades. So shades are under 50%. That is, first of all, the heading is percentage increase in population 65 years and over. That is, we have to show graphically, that is the percentage increase in population of persons having 65 years and more than 65 years of age within the region, within the time 1993 to 2020. Okay. So under 50%. ये जो white वाला दिख रहा है बिल्कुल ऑफ वाइट दिख रहा है, तो these are showing that the ratio percentage increase in the population of the particular category is under 50%. यानी 50% से कम लोग, 50% से कम ही उनमें इजाफा हुआ है, इंक्रीज हुआ है. एंड 50% टू 74% इंक्रीमेंट लाइट शेडेड जितना भी दिख रहा उसमें पता चल रहा. 75% to 99%, which is little more darker, and 100% इंक्रीज इन मोस्ट, यानी कि यहाँ पर बहुत ज्यादा 100%, जस्ट जितना था उसका डबल हो चुका है इन द एज ऑफ 65 एंड मोर देन दैट. तो GA है, CO है, UT, NB, CA, AZ, यहाँ पर आपको दिख रहा होगा इट इज मोर डार्क शेडेड. So these are showing that 100% of population increase in their percentage. बूढ़ों की गिनती डबल हो चुकी है, 100% इंक्रीज हो चुकी है. जो पहले थी उसकी जस्ट डबल होना, दैट इज कॉल्ड 100% इंक्रीज. नाउ परसेंटेज ऑफ ब्लैक ऑफ टोटल स्टेट पॉपुलेशन. नाउ अगर हम बात करें कि ब्लैक लोगों का परसेंटेज निकालना है, तो अगर वही सेम चीज यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स का है. So this is the geographical representation method in which you just divide the categories or show the categories by different means or modes through the graph. Okay. So I think that is enough for today. In the coming next lecture, we are going to start with the new topic, that is measure of central tendency, which is nothing actually mean, median, and mode. And I hope that you had already studied about the mean. A mean is nothing, it is the average. You need to find out the average value. That is called the mean. And median, the basic mean of the median is the middle value. So you need to find out the middle value, whatever the data provided to you, what is the middle value from that data after arranging the data in a proper sequence. And mode is the basically the number or the frequency of data, that in given data which number is repeating more time, which number is repeating various times. So it's the frequency of any number which is higher. So we can say that this is the mode of the particular data. Okay. So we will see that mean, median, and mode by taking various examples. And there are two subcategories or two categories of the mean, median, and mode. One is based on the grouped data, and second is based on the ungrouped data. So we will see, or we will study by taking various example the next lecture by tomorrow. So thank you to all of you.